Hello, everyone, and good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. It is the first WikiTree challenge of 2025, and here is the reveal video for our special guest, Catherine Lake Hogan, who is with us. How are you, Catherine?
I'm great.
Excellent.
Excited to be here.
Excellent. Well, we're very excited to have you here as well. It's always fun when we do the reveal, and our guest is right here with us. I'm also joined by Celia Marsh, who helps out and helps coordinate all these WikiTree challenges, and special guest Anne Sadler, who was one of our top investigators, and she was working on a really hard challenge, and she's going to tell us about that. But huge props to Anne, because it is after 1 o'clock in the morning where she is. So she's one of those where it's good evening or good early mornings. Thanks for joining us, Anne.
Thank you. I'll be off to sleep soon.
Thanks to everyone who's joining us in the chat. I see lots of names of people who've been helping out and contributing to this WikiTree challenge. And those of you who are watching after the fact, welcome to you as well. We are doing it Wednesday. It was originally scheduled for a Thursday, but I was chosen or volunteered to be team captain for this one, and Thursday nights are choir practice nights, so that was a no-go for me. And Catherine was very kind to change her schedule around that. So thank you very much, Catherine.
You're welcome.
So, if this is your first time tuning in to a WikiTree challenge reveal video, you might wonder what are we talking about here. So the WikiTree challenge is a challenge that we do on WikiTree. We pick a special guest genealogist, and we're doing them once a month. And so for one solid week, WikiTreeers will work on the guest's family tree and try to add as many people as they can. And the metric that we use is we use something that's called a CC7, which is the close connections to 7 degrees. That's what the CC7, the acronym means. And you calculate that because, so a close connection of 1 degree is someone who is in your immediate family. So your spouse, your parents, or your children, or your siblings. Those are all people who are 1 degree away from you. And then your people who are 2 degrees are those who are 1 degree away from those people. So could be your grandparents, could be your spouse's parents, could be your children's children or your children's partners, all those sorts of things. And as it goes out, you get to 7 degrees away, you could end up with the in-laws of the in-laws of the in-laws of the in-laws. Which might mean you're not related by blood at all, but there's still you're connected by 7 degrees. So that's how we measure it. And because we do that, we're going up and down the tree and sideways and up, on different ladders. So there's lots of possibility for adding. And we did that this time around. So that was very exciting. I'm just going to start off with a little bit of stats and stuff, and then I will turn it over to Anne before she has to go to bed, because I'm waking you up late, and I'm feeling bad about that. But anyways, okay. So we have where's the score sheet here? Let's go to the WikiTree. We have a free space page that we've used to keep track of all of the information. And I'm just going to move you up there, Catherine. So you're right up top there. And so here we have. So let me just introduce, in case for those who don't know Catherine. Now I've told you how we're trying to find all the things, but if you don't know Catherine, I'm very proud to say that she hails from Ontario, same province in Canada that I am from. And her lineage includes a mixture of Canadian, Loyalist, and New England branches and roots connecting her to England and Wales. And we found people in all of those places for you. But her passion doesn't stop at her own genealogy. Catherine's mission is to help others discover their Canadian ancestral connections. Her dynamic presentations, ranging from society meetings to research institutes, have earned her a reputation as one of the leading voices in Canadian genealogy. And whether you've attended one of her sessions or tuned into her monthly webinars, Genealogy with a Canadian twist, you've certainly felt the excitement of Catherine's dedication. And I can attest to that because she was one of our speakers during the WikiTree Symposium this past November. And I was her host who did not get the video uploaded in time. So at the drop of a hat, she had to redo the whole presentation live. And she so graciously did. And she did an amazing job. You're a wonderful speaker, Catherine. And
Thank you.
we're very happy to hopefully help you out here with your family roots, because we know, like most genealogists, you never get a time to work on your own family. You're working on everyone else's.
That's true.
Isn't
Yeah.
that true?
Yeah. When I looked at what I actually had on WikiTree, I was rather appalled.
Oh, yes, it can be. Yeah. Especially, and you've been a member of WikiTree for how long now?
I'm one of the early people, like 2010.
Right. Yes.
And then I was one of those people because I was on WikiTree, joined WikiTree so early, I was able to upload my ginormous GEDCOM.
Yes.
Which I did.
Yes.
And so there's lots of fodder for everybody on my from my GEDCOM, because it was thousands of profiles, especially with my Rickman or Reichman, however you want to pronounce it, line, because just about everybody that has a surname Rickman or Reichman, I'm related to in North America.
Right.
So that's, just thousands and thousands of profiles that, I'm not going to be able to work on every single one.
Yeah. Well, I know we did clear up some GEDCOM junk for you, so
Yay!
I can't promise we got through every one of them.
No.
But we did a bunch. I noticed that there was a bunch that I was working on that Celia had gone ahead and cleared away.
I like doing the cleanup stuff. Just going through the.
I got to admit, the first time I came to one of those, all of a sudden, like, it was blank. I'm thinking, how did this survive? It just says biography and sources, and there was nothing in between, or something.
Some of them didn't have much more than that to start with. It depends.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but anyways, I did add some more in between.
The really old GEDCOMs just have a sentence that just says imported from a GEDCOM.
Yeah. So that's funny. Okay, so let me show the score sheet, and then I will let Anne talk about what she worked on. So we do have a score sheet. It's a friendly competition, really, and it's not really about the points. It's about making WikiTree better and making it better for you, Catherine. So that's really what it's all about. But in the end, there was 1,470 profiles were worked on.
Wow.
During your week.
Wow,
So,
that's incredible.
Yeah, that was a huge number. Now, especially when you consider that at the very beginning of the week, let me just click here, you had your CC7 was only at 742.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've already doubled the number of profiles just by the number that we worked on here. There were points. So this middle column, let me think now, how does this work? Yes. The second column is the number of profiles that people created.
Okay.
And so Helen gets top marks. She created 94 profiles in your CC7. Chris O'Connell did 18. I fell down a few rabbit holes and I ended up doing 60 when I should have been I was going to say when I should have been doing other work, but no, this was the work that was important. So
wow.
Look at Chris as a dark horse second place there with
yes. So the third column is these bounty points. So Celia, you don't want to explain how the bounty points happened?
So the bounty points are 10 points for interesting finds, and is it 25 for, I think it's 25 for connecting the first person to connect to the tree, and 15 for brick walls, or it might be the other way around. We set brick walls, and if you solve the brick walls, you get some points, and if you make new connections to existing records on the tree, you also get points. So this not only makes additional profiles, but it tightens your connections to the tree overall. So it basically everything that gets done makes it a better tree, from cleaning it to sourcing and adding new people and connecting existing people. It has a lot of potential for whatever people enjoy doing, really.
Yeah. And so we had 33 people participating, going from adding lots of profiles and doing lots of edits. I do think that Helen did the most edits of all of us, 479.
I was pretty close, though.
You were very, where are you there?
I don't have all that many points, but
139, 29. You created 29
profiles.
I
did touched 99 profiles, which is the second highest.
Yeah.
And I'm down the bottom.
And where are you, Anne?
Down the bottom.
Down at the bottom. You've got to be here.
Browning.
Oh, Browning. Okay. I was looking for Sadler. There we are. There we go. But everything. But look at that, 160.
Well, it's also those 4 profiles are just the ones that are linked to the tree, to the 7/7. So it doesn't count the other work, which is
right. So let's look at. So Anne, I'm gonna take it. Enos George. He's your buddy, right?
He was the one I was trying to find.
Okay. Now, is it this?
Father, I can't. I'm on the mini iPad.
It's what time frame was he? And
Catherine is the manager for him.
Is it the previous his father?
He was about 1800 to 1867, I think.
That must have been his son then.
No, not his son. This is a different Enos George, if I'm a profile manager for that. But what I think is Catherine's Enos George is connected to that family.
Oh.
Okay, so is this the one that you want me to show, or is there a different one?
Let's see.
While you talk, you let me know. I'll grab the screen, but you tell me which one you want to.
Right, if you get Catherine's Enos George up.
Catherine's Enos George. Okay.
So my Enos George was as far as I got on my George line, and that's my maternal side of the family.
Let's do the tree apps and show how to find people in the.
Okay, so we'll go from scratch. Okay, so we find where's Cat? There we go. So we'll go open up Catherine's profile, and look at all these stickers. Look at this. You're just all over the place. This is great. So when you go to anyone's profile and you click on the tree apps, it's going to open up all these different apps that have been created by a number of different developers, some including me.
Yes, who are on this call right now.
Yeah, some of us who are on this call. And of course, the last one I used on this computer was the fan chart. So that's the one that's going to open up. Okay. So Jonathan George. So I'm going to go up one generation. There's Enos George. So is this Enos George?
Yeah.
That's the Enos George. Okay. So in the fan chart, one of the handy things about it is when you click on a cell, it'll pop up this information window. And if you click on the person's name, it will open up in a new tab that profile for you, so you don't. It's a nice, easy launching pad. Okay, here is your Enos George.
Yes.
Okay, and take us through what you found and what you think is the connections are. And
right, I think that he is possibly connected to a man called Evan George. If I bring up Evan George is George 17171.
What, George 17171?
I think it's his father.
There we go.
There's Evan George. Evan George has a son called Jonathan,
Hmm.
and Catherine Denos has a son called Jonathan. They're all in the same area of a name I can't pronounce. Lan, I should be able to. I'm half Welsh.
Oh yeah.
LLANDYGWYDD.
Okay.
If there's any Welsh speakers out there, Llandigwyd or something like
Languid.
that.
The grid. Yeah.
And what is the double L? What sound does the double L make?
Flat, flat, flat,
An
flat.
L?
Two L's are
It's an
flat.
L.
It's just an L. Okay. Well,
But
then I
it's-
think it would be like land width or something like I think the double D makes
Flan.
it off
It's
TH.
flan.
Lang-
It's flan.
Okay.
It's not an L sound. It's a
like a
slightly
CL.
different.
Oh, a
It's like
CL.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like clan grid.
Land width.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And also, I found a will for a John George who is at Berwick, which I
Mhm.
think is a place that is mentioned in Enos's will, Enos's biography. And Enos is a popular name in that George family from Llandgwyd, however
Mhm.
you pronounce it. So I think there is a connection there somewhere. I've been working away trying to build out the tree to try and find it. My suspicion is that it might be something to do with Jonathan George,
This
just because of the name Jonathan.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I
Okay.
haven't found any of his children yet. I'm sure there must be some,
Mm-hmm.
but I've not found any. And also, there was another George in Jonathan George was in Tremaine, and I think that's in Enos's profile somewhere in one of the census documents that he was Tremaine. And Jonathan George had some land there or rented some land there. So my suspicion is that he's possibly a son of Jonathan George.
Okay.
But
All
that
right.
might have to come down to doing some DNA might solve that if you can track down any descendants of any of the George brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Enos's family, I think, would be quite. I've done quite a bit with the other Enos George, Evan's son, with his family and got them quite well tracked down. So what I'll do is I'll send you the details. I'll PM you, send you a private message and send you the details. I
Thank you.
transcribed about 2 or 3 wills,
Wow.
hoping that I might find a reference to another Enos. And the Enos George, who is son of Evan,
Mm-hmm.
he also is very up with the Welsh Baptists. So I don't know whether you know if any of your Georges were Welsh Baptists.
Yeah. The
Catherine?
whole family line. My grandfather was
Welsh
Baptist.
Baptists?
Yeah, they were all
Yeah.
Baptist. They were not. They were
Oh.
nonconformists. They were
Oh,
not. They were not Church of England.
Okay. Now,
Which
are
is
those records
another
more
link.
difficult or easier to find?
Which is another link because the Enos George's son was they held services at Scotland Hill, which is where they lived.
Hmm.
So I think they were all Baptist.
Okay.
And I think he may be, if not Jonathan's son, the son of one of the other brothers.
Okay.
Right. So you're thinking this Enos George that you've added might be a cousin
Yeah.
then of Catherine's Enos George.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That'd be very cool.
So I think if Catherine can find the descendant of him, and I've done quite a bit with his tree, and find a DNA test, she might she might be able to find out if there is a connection through the DNA.
Right. Now, that far back, the Y DNA test is probably the one that's going to be helpful, because autosomal DNA that far back is probably going to be scanty.
So here's the problem with that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Have they dotted
Right.
out? Or their son?
Almost. So I have one male cousin who is a George, and he has daughters.
Oh.
So I really need him to, obviously,
Quick,
we really
swab
need him
him.
to take the Y DNA test. I'm willing to pay for it.
Oh, yes.
He hasn't really been too
Keen.
open to it. You know, I've mentioned it a few times.
Yes.
Right?
Oh.
Because we're really, the George family here in Canada, the descendants are really small, because my grandfather and his sister were the only ones that had children. All of my grandfather's other siblings either were not married, or if they were married, they didn't have children. So you know, with it being my grandfather's sister, obviously that dotted out very quickly.
Yeah.
So that left my grandfather. He had 2 kids, right? My mom and my uncle, and then my uncle had a son. And so that's it for the George line in Canada, people. Like there's not a lot of us here to begin with. And then with my cousin, he's the only one of male George that's here in Canada. So to find, if he doesn't take the Y DNA test, I would have to be finding, like, I have to go back like 3 or 4 generations to try and find somebody else who would be willing to take that test.
Yeah.
Well,
this is great work, Anne. I mean, this sounds pretty plausible. I mean, the names, the connection with the names, the similarities there, and the places.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good theory.
Moor as well is a place. I think that was where your Enos George was living. Moor, and some of the other George family, which I think are connected, married there, and they definitely are all around that area, and definitely all Welsh Baptists.
Okay.
So I think that's the connection there. I think I might be wrong, but I think it probably would come down to Y DNA testing to confirm it, because I can't find Jonathan having any children.
Right.
But that's not to say he didn't, because some of the George family went where they lived. It's very close to Pembrokeshire, so you've got to look in Pembrokeshire, Cardiganshire, and can't remember the other one now. But there's about 3 different counties. Glamorgan, I think.
Excellent.
I was in Wales. I was in Wales in 2019. Or I was, very short time. I didn't have a lot of time. I did get to go to my grandfather's house, right on Hazel Beach, across from Pembrokeshire Dock. I went to Pembrokeshire Dock, and then I see here Elizabeth has in the comments Fishguard. Now I don't even know how to say the correct name of this house. Durfren Fernot in Fishguard. Okay, I was actually there. I was able to get in touch with the owner. She has this beautiful gardens there, and it was I believe one of my Nicholas ancestors was living on the property. I don't know if he was a tenant. He might have been a tenant farmer on the property in 1861. So I've actually been to that particular house, and apparently it's going to be on the Monty Don's English Garden Show in a few weeks.
Right
for those
here
in the UK. Yes, I've been there. It's beautiful. The gardens are absolutely beautiful. So I had a lovely chat with the lady who owns the gardens, who owns the house. She was just lovely, and she was wonderful. She spent about an hour chatting with me about the house and the area, and give me some good background on what the area is like. and it was just a lovely visit in the pouring rain.
Oh
that day.
no.
It poured buckets that day. So it was despite the weather, it was a lovely visit.
But you visited inside, right?
No, she had if you go on the website, so the pink brick is the main house, and then just off to the side is like a little gardening house that she had in there. Like she made like a little library in there and a table and chairs. So we sat in there and had a lovely visit. Yeah, that building there. Yeah, right there.
But you weren't in the rain. You were just.
We were not in the rain. No, we got out of the rain.
Okay, good.
We were worried about that.
I was worried.
Wales can be very wet.
Yes,
They can be
very wet. Mm-hmm.
Oh, neat. Great.
But, yeah, I love Pembrokeshire.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, Anne. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the hour, but I want to.
I should probably go to sleep now.
Okay, then. Well, you have a great night. Thanks very much.
I'll PM Catherine with the link so
Thank
she
you.
can have the links to the profile. And then you've got to pin your cousin down.
Pin him down.
See what happens. Well, I'll send him the link and see if he'll watch and see if maybe that will, pique his interest a little bit.
It would be nice.
So we'll see what happens. Well, thank you so much, Anne, for all of your research. And apparently there was quite a bit of chatter on Discord about it. So I'm going to have to go back into the Discord channel and, with a couple cups of coffee and maybe do some Saturday morning reading this week and get caught up on everything. So thank you so much.
There was a lot. Yeah.
Right. I shall say good night then.
Okay. Good night, Anne.
Right.
Super. That's great. So let's see. So first of all, I did show you the fan chart, and you've seen the fan chart before. One of the other apps that we use is called the 6 Degrees apps, and I'm not sure if you've used that one before, Catherine, or not.
I've seen you use it on different things, but I haven't used it myself.
Okay. Well, now let's see if I can get the controls back here. There we go. I've used it. Basically is your CC7, but in a visual sort of circular way here. And normally the default is so we just see the single dots, right?
Yeah.
But you can change it so that you can just see letters or initials or first names or all names. And I used it for something that you're going to see later on in the podcast. So that's why this was open, but it has lots of different options. But one of the things that we do is we take a snapshot of, let's see, once I find, here it is over here. There it is. We take a snapshot before and after. So we start up with 742.
Okay.
This actually table is from the CC7 app, which is not one of mine, but it's one that Ian Bacall and Riel work on. And then here is, let's zoom out. I've zoomed in way too close. There we go. So at that time, before the challenge started, the 6 Degrees app, the 7 Degrees app, gave you this one. Now, the numbers aren't exactly the same. And the reason why they're not exactly the same is because private people won't show on the app.
Okay.
Because the app isn't directly connected to the WikiTree server.
Okay.
So, and even if it was, unless they're, if they're on your watch list, or if they're related to you but not to me, and they're private, then I won't be able to pull them up, so they wouldn't show it. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy, but not enough you can still get the general idea. So this is what it looked like before, and wait a second. Why is this doing this to me? And this is what it looks like after. Open up. It was a lot more massive.
Yeah, wow.
That's a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah. So the other thing
It's so
that
pretty.
it is very pretty, yes. Some people said they, they can make a necklace, or you could, print it out as like a rug.
Right? Yeah.
Rag rug or coasters.
Yeah, coasters.
Right?
Yes, that's very nice. Yeah. So the other thing that we often do is we show the map of where all the profiles in your CC7 are located.
Okay.
And so that's what this is here. So this is, oh my goodness, my zooming in is going crazy.
Oh my.
I don't know what's happening here. It's going the wrong direction. So here's the world view. So these are all the profiles that were created. So you can see there was a huge concentration over Canada and the US, a lot of southern Ontario, upper northeastern US.
Yeah, New England. Yeah.
And then there's England and whatnot. But there's a few over in Australia.
Yeah.
So, and then
two
broke it
lines
down.
that went to Australia.
What's that?
I knew of two lines that went to Australia.
Mm-hmm. And then we broke it down into the different regions. And all of these images are stored in a Google Drive, and Azure will give you access to this
Wonderful.
probably tomorrow morning sometime.
All right, that's great. Wow.
You can look through these at your leisure, but I zoomed in on Southern Ontario specifically, knowing that there were so many there. And people may or may not have noticed that on your WikiTree profile, your name has UE afterwards, which stands for?
United Empire. So I am a direct line descendant of 5 United Empire loyalists that I know of. And if you are so UEL is for the loyalist ancestor. And then if you are a descendant of the loyalist, then you can use the postnomials UE.
Nice. So the cluster here in Southern Ontario are people who stayed, but all these other, well, not all these other dots, but a number of these other dots would have been some of those loyalists themselves, being born in the States and then migrating. You can see the arrow directions of the arrows, right?
Yeah.
Migrating into Southern Ontario. So that's very cool. I'm not going to go through all the different maps because they're all fairly similar. Now, what's interesting is the paternal line is a lot more solid. There's a lot more profiles from that than on your maternal side, which was interesting. And now this is on the lake side. This is your late grandfather and his CC7. And his clustering in England, in the UK, is different than, if I'm just going to zoom ahead to find your grandfather on the other side, on your mother's side, because it's noticeably different.
Okay.
Once Google catches up to me.
The lone deaths in France are always so sad.
What's that?
I said the lone deaths showing up in France and Belgium.
Yes.
That's interesting.
It's probably a World War I death.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That would have been Irwin, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. There's probably one. Okay. Yeah. I didn't. None of my the only direct ancestor that served in the First World War was my grandfather. So Joseph Brinley George. The other, nobody else in the First World War.
It's probably a CC7 then.
Well, I found actually one of the profiles I'm going to show you later on is I did find a first cousin 3 times removed. So your great grandfather's first cousin.
Okay.
He served in World War I and actually died in the Battle of Passchendaele.
Really?
Yes.
Might be
interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sneak preview. Stay
Sneak
tuned.
preview. Sorry, spoiler alert. But so here's your Evans
Yep.
side, and you see how the cluster is totally different.
Yeah,
Wales
right
and
smack dab in the Midlands, Staffordshire.
yeah, and they're Wales and Cornwall as well. A little
No,
bit of
that's
Edinburgh.
interesting. The Cornwall, because I've not personally identified anybody in Cornwall
Okay.
in my that I know
Okay.
of.
Well,
So that's
you know what we
interesting.
can do. Okay, so these are images that I've taken. Like these are static images, but
Okay.
one of the things you can do is in WikiTree Plus.
Yeah.
You've used WikiTree Plus before?
A little bit, not a lot, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Well, on the challenge page, one of the things that we have is a direct link to WikiTree Plus.
You'll be able to. The one that's in here will change because it's the ongoing one. It's just WikiTree Active Challenge.
Oh,
But
is it?
for yours, it will end up being 25/01/09, the first day of the challenge.
Okay.
Okay.
It's the same WikiTree challenge bit, but then that last bit changes.
Right. So I've
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
on the reveal page I put this. So we should actually copy this one over to the
Yeah.
free space page, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Make a note of that, Celia, so one of us remembers. So if I click on this link, it'll
We've
open
got
up.
it recorded.
Oh, yeah, that's great. It opens up WikiTree Plus and it pre-populates that text in the text search area.
Okay.
It doesn't actually do the search for you because it doesn't want to fire off things automatically.
And you might want to change things.
You might want to change it, right?
Okay.
So, but you click the Get Profiles button,
Yeah.
and then it finds 1,456 profiles are connected to the WikiTree challenge, your WikiTree challenge. And the cool thing with WikiTree Plus is that with a little click here, it'll open it up into a map. Okay.
Cool.
And
It'll do this for any search.
any search will work, but I'm using the one that shows all of your profiles
Right.
because if we want to go over and just double check, okay, we want to zoom in on Belgium. When you zoom, then you have to wait for a second for it to redraw. There we go. So if I click on Belgium, this dot right here,
Yeah.
that will pull up the name of the person. Now, if there was multiple people in that one location, then you'd see multiple cards showing up here. But in this case, it's only one, and this is the one that I had done. So since we already mentioned, I'll go ahead and we'll look at him. So
And
when you
the location, if it's just, you can see it's just Belgium. So they put it in about the geographic center.
Right.
Right.
That's why we have a whole bunch of Canada ones in the middle of nowhere.
So, so if we show on, so here's his profile. So this is his profile here. He was born. So the one, his birth date is sort of one of those things that changed every census.
Oh, really? Okay.
There is one document that gave that specific date. But then his document when he signed up for the Canadian Army was a totally different date, 92. But he couldn't have been born in 92 when he existed on the census in 91. You know, hello? I don't know. Unless there was a second Lorne somewhere. I mean, he was known as, the birth record said Albert Henry, but he was called Lorne on the census, and it went back and forth. Sometimes he was referred to LAH, Lorne, Albert Henry. Anyways.
Huh.
A little mystery for you, I guess.
It's a bit of a mystery. So it is possible that there are two different people here.
Right.
But I could not find a second body.
Okay.
So I was looking through and I couldn't find, like, you know, in case the first one had actually passed away and then the second son, another son was born and given the same name or a similar name, right?
Okay.
Anyways, he applied. So Lauren was a gardener. He was in his 20s, and he was a gardener. And then in May of 1915, he signed up for the Canadian Army, so the Canadian Expeditionary Force. And he was on the payroll as of the next day, shipped out to England the following March of 1916, became part of the 4th Battalion. And then he was injured twice in 1917, gunshot wounds, left shoulder, I think it was, and then gas attack.
Wow.
Gas was just starting to be used by the enemy at that point. He actually got a 10-day leave to go back to England in October. He came back on the 27th of October, 1917, and that was the day before was the final push in Passchendaele. So the Canadian forces were in Passchendaele. They had actually relieved the Anzac Force, or the Australia-New Zealand force, because they were under a lot of pressure. So the Canadians came in to help them out, and this was sort of the final push to get to free the town of Passchendaele. So he came back. He was promoted to full corporal at that point, and he died. He was killed in action on the 6th of November, which was the beginning of the attack on the town itself. Now his unit was in the north of just north of the town. It was I think it was a unit from Winnipeg. There's a link to the archives of the military archives that gives you a whole detail about that.
Yeah.
So I think it was another unit that stormed the town itself, but his unit was support, and he died on that day, the day that the real push went through, and 4 days later they freed the city.
Right.
So it's kind of sad, but all of this information is available on the archives, and it's just so amazing that you've got detail. Considering these people aren't here anymore, but at least we know a bit about their sacrifice, and so there we go. And he's buried in Ypres, in Belgium.
Ypres? Okay.
Yeah, in the Menengate cemetery. So that's one of your many military.
That's a new one. That's new to me.
Is that new to you? Yeah.
Yes.
And so one of the interesting things is, so we've got categories for them. So if you go to the 4th Battalion, click on that category, you'll see the list of everyone who's in that, who was part of that, who's on WikiTree, who was part of that battalion.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
Cool. And so, like, this one was specifically, or was highly populated by people from Central Ontario. So you'll see Brock, Owen Sound, Kleinberg. And if you click on My Connections, which is just an amazing feature of WikiTree now, you can see that, so I am apparently related to Enos Grant. He's a distant cousin. Cool. Look at that. But what's also cool is that you can put someone else's WikiTree ID in. So I can put in your WikiTree ID.
Okay.
Click go, and you've got one direct cousin, one relative there.
It shows Albert, right.
And there he is, first cousin, 3 times removed.
Right.
Really close.
Cool.
Isn't that neat? Yeah. Okay, so should we go to interesting finds, Celia, or should we start somewhere else? What do you think?
Let me think. We did all of the images.
Yeah.
I think interesting finds is next up. I can't think of anything we skipped.
Okay, then. Super. Okay, so one of the things we do is we document a bunch of things that we find interesting.
All right.
Okay, and now what's interesting to me is how many of these will actually be interesting to you, because I know you've got a giant database of your own, and you've got so I'm just wondering how much of this you already knew about and how much you didn't. So that'll be. I'm curious about how that.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, eh? Okay. So let me I'm trying to queue it up so that I can. Oh my goodness. I've got buttons on my buttons. While I'm scrolling by here, we also do keep track of all the locations that popped up in all of the profiles.
Okay.
So 4 of the provinces, territories, states of Australia were found. It looks like only 8 of the provinces and territories of Canada. Lots of the counties in England, though.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Not surprising. 6 counties in Ireland.
That is surprising.
Is that surprising?
Yes, considering. So my Irwin line, right, is, I mean, it took me forever and a day to finally pinpoint a county for them, which is County Sligo.
Okay.
Right. So all the other locations, that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Could be it could be in-laws of in-laws of in-laws, remember?
Yeah. Yeah. But still, that's definitely more than I
had. You can use the WikiTree Plus to search for countries or counties specifically, or you can pull up everybody and go to group by locations, and it'll break people down by birth, country, and death location and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun things.
And then we did 31 of the 50 U.S. states. Wow.
Although I think we've got Michigan on there twice.
Oh, do we? Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of distant relatives in Michigan.
Maybe it's lower Michigan and upper Michigan.
I was just gonna say Michigan's in 2 parts anyways, right? Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're in the same thinking the same thing. That's hilarious.
There we go.
Oh, that's good.
Zambia. I forgot that one.
Zambia. Okay, where's the? I thought the dot in Zambia was like the center of the world. Someone who didn't put.
No, that was I believe it was a death in one of the profiles I
okay,
did.
so that one I might know about. So now I know names have changed. Now someone will have to tell me. Was Zambia once called Rhodesia?
Yes.
Yes, I think.
Yes. Okay, so that one. So I know about him. It's the half. That's the half line, which is my Crawford line of the family. So one of the descendants was over there fighting, and apparently he was murdered.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of knew a little bit about that one. Yeah.
Right.
Sounds right to me.
Okay. So here we are. Ralph Tonks, court case. He was given an invalid check for £10. But that would be worth 1,000 Australian dollars today.
Okay, that's cool.
There we go. So there's Ralph. There we go.
That's cool. Now who's his father?
Thomas Tonks and Clara.
Thomas Tonks. Okay, that's cool because I'll tell you a story. Can I tell you a story about the Thomas Tonks? Okay, so my maternal line of the family, my grandparents kept like everything.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of cool memorabilia from them. And my grandmother, she and her sister went back to England, to Staffordshire, Walsall, Staffordshire, England, 1927. And she kept the scrapbook when they went there, because it was in the summer. There used to be a festival called Walsall Days, and so they went back to this to Walsall. Lots of family there, and then in my grandmother's scrapbook was this photo of a man that said Thomas Tonks of Brisbane, Australia. This big bald guy. I had no idea who he was. And I'd ask my mom, like, who's this guy? She's like, I don't know, maybe one of grandma's cousins or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it took me a long time, to finally figure out who he is. Of course, researching the family tree, and then finally discovered who Thomas Tonks is. And so he's originally from Walsall, Staffordshire, immigrated to Australia, and he was kind of a big deal because he started an electrical company in Australia, and he was sued a couple times, and so there's some court documents. So that's interesting to see that with the Ralph Tonks, because now I know where he fits into the family tree.
There you go. So one of the things I've done is for all of your interesting finds,
Yeah.
I've made I call them a Monopoly card because of the way the
Oh, cool.
so you can see the family. So here you are. So if you go up to your great grandmother and her sister, and then downwards.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
So the next, so here's one of those, right? So brothers, sons, and
George Phillips. Okay, so George. Oh, through the Schramm family. Okay.
yeah. And so his claim to fame is that he was a sergeant in the Royal Irish Constabulary, but had retired by 1911. So there's an Irish. So he was born in County Monaghan, and then passed away in England, moved to Staffordshire.
Right.
Next we have William Percival Challinor, who is your first cousin twice removed, so pretty close. He
Okay.
got
Okay. Through my great grandfather. Okay.
You've got big brains in your family. A PhD from Imperial College, worked as a research chemist. Authored in several publications, filed 2 U.S. patents.
Wow.
An improved process for the production of nitroglycerin in treatment of heart medications. So there you go. You've got a PhD in your family.
There we go.
And then Jonathan Dowse, great granduncle.
Yeah.
After having 11 children with his wife Elizabeth, left Lincolnshire wearing a black suit and was apparently not seen again by his family, who placed an advert looking for information. It's not currently clear what might have happened to him. That's sad.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yes.
Family mysteries to investigate.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back through some of my old email addresses and trying to see who I was talking to about the Dow's line.
Mm-hmm.
And see. Oh wow. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, so and here's on the profile. Missing from South Kim, Jonathan Dowse, who left his home and has not been heard of. He had on a black suit. Any person giving information will be rewarded.
Interesting.
Wow.
Wow.
We should get bonus points for amazement levels.
There we go. Yes, indeed. Next, we have Anna Bailey, who is a cousin of a notable Dame Agnes Weston, Great Britain.
Oh.
I think did we figure out exactly how she's connected? I'm not.
That's a good question. Let's check.
Okay. It was it's like she's listed as a cousin in a couple different things. It's just but
we haven't actually established the relationship.
I think we hadn't figured out the exact relationship. It looks really clear because Anna Weston's mother was a Bailey, but then when we dug into it, it's like not. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't find a real clear connection there, and it's a cousin. Who knows what the cousin?
Right.
What they meant by that.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second. No, I want from Agnes. I want relationship.
Relationship. Yeah.
Did I see it? Fine.
Should be down. It's in Weston, almost all the way down to the bottom.
How come it doesn't?
No. Go back.
What am I doing? Wrong? Oh, it's on the West. Hello.
Yeah, that one almost all the way down.
Yes. So we're separate cousins, but we want. I don't care about niece so much. I want
to, but not.
Well, yeah. it's about Bailey, Anna. Let's see. Oh.
I looked into it, but I couldn't quite figure out where it was.
Okay.
But they did. It does quite clearly in several places say that she's the cousin.
Right.
Her cousin, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah. So here's another one. This is a sad one, actually.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time on your Turners and your Irwins.
Yeah.
And they were a fun family. And I got to really know them a lot. So I could spend another hour talking about all the neat things I found out about them, but I'm not going to.
I'm here for. Yeah.
That's what Celia's here to stop me from doing that. But so here's So your great great grandfather George.
Yeah.
His sister married a Turner, Edward
Yeah.
Turner, and one of Edward's brothers was Benjamin.
Okay.
Benjamin died of heart problems, myocardial failure, on Valentine's Day.
Ah.
Oh,
And he was single and never married. Isn't that tragic? I think
ironic.
It's
Tragic
ironic,
and
tragic. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I just thought that was sad. But you know the real kicker? The real kicker is that while he was alone on Valentine's Day, his family was not so alone.
Excellent segue. Just excellent there.
You like that? You like
Yeah.
that? Okay, because 3 of his Turner siblings married 3 of the Irwin siblings.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So Benjamin here is in gold,
Yeah.
gold plated in the middle. And this is a snippet of the Super Tree, which is another app that I've done. And I've actually done some cut and paste, some some Photoshop so I could fit everything that I wanted to show you in this family tree here.
Right.
So Benjamin's gold. All of his siblings are in green. So Maria, so Sarah, starting with his older brother Edward, and then his younger sister Sarah, and then youngest brother Harry or Harris. They all married Irwins. So Etta Irwin, Richard Irwin, or Margaret Ann Irwin.
Okay.
Now your direct great grandfather was George Irwin, or great grandfather. So he is a brother to all of these Irwin siblings who married Turner siblings. And for each of those pairings, Turner-Irwin pairings, I showed you all their kids, because all of these kids are double first cousins of each other.
Right.
So you've got 3 batches of double first cousins.
Wow.
Now I didn't go down another 2 generations or so to see how many of the double first cousins married each other. Hopefully none.
Yeah, I can never rule it out.
I don't know. I'll leave that as an exercise to you.
Okay.
But it's pretty. Anyways, one of the options with the Super Tree is to show the in-laws, and so you can see each of these Irwins have the same in-law, like they're the same family. But I drew in your great great grandfather so you could see how he connected to all of these.
And the Super Tree is one of the tree apps.
It is. Yeah.
Cool.
So anyways, that let's zoom that back to, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Put that back to small. Anyway, so we have let's just, so there's we already talked about the cottage.
John Lake, you found that. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, are you reading
that story about John
Lake?
Makes me wonder about him.
Okay, yeah. Robbed by 2 women. Yeah. So,
the newspaper articles about that are pretty interesting, especially what he says about it. And so the one article, so he'd gone to market, in Boston, which is the market town in Lincolnshire, and he apparently missed the train. And then, he was walking to somewhere and he came across these 2 ladies, and he's got quite the story about what happened to him. Right. And that they shoved him through a door, and next, one of them sitting on his lap and the other one's robbed him. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. So I knew about that story. I was wondering this. I was waiting to see if someone else had found a story about him.
That's great.
So apparently he filed charges against them and he won.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he won. Yeah. So that was an interesting one. Yeah.
That was interesting. Yeah. Okay. Then you have someone else who's an honor student. So that's Edie.
Well, that's my great aunt. Okay, I didn't know that about her.
Honor student for her junior and senior years at school.
Interesting.
There you go.
Another smarty pants.
Nice.
Dog, stop it.
Okay. Then David Hancock. Oh yeah, moved to London for employment. Was involved in a motoring accident. He was knocked off his bike by an overtaken car and was fatally injured. But he was he rode his bike from Wales to London, obviously safely. But then here in London, he got hit.
Okay,
Isn't that
that's
sad?
how it's. I'm not. I wasn't familiar with that surname.
Hancock.
Okay.
So it's because it's through the brother of the son of the brother of the
grandfather's
father, the
brother.
wife of the brother
Yeah,
of the
okay.
grandfather. There's a few
gotta
different.
Yeah.
He's got to be CC7. at
Yes.
that point. Yeah.
He's 7 degrees. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the way out.
So this is
Okay.
and this is one of the Turners that I found, and this was interesting. So John Wesley Turner.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back and just show it where. There we go. So he's one of the brother of one of those Turners, one of the three Turners who married the three Irwins. Okay,
Yeah.
So same family. His heads, when I found his gravestone, I thought that's really unique.
It is.
Isn't that interesting? And then I could not read, so I thank goodness for Discord, because I posted it. I said, "Can anyone make out what's at the top of this?" Like I could read the word park there, but that's about all I could make out.
Right.
And Melanie
Luckily,
McComb came through.
She's a smarty pants.
Yeah, she's a smarty pants, and she was able to decipher that. It actually said, the inscription reads, "Canadian Order of the Woodmen of the World assisted in the erection of this monument."
Oh.
And this part here that has the word park in it actually says Hyde Park Camp number 8. And so with a little investigation, the Woodmen of the World was a fraternal organization.
Okay.
At the turn of the 1900s. And when they first came into existence, one of their things was that they would pay for a gravestone for any of their members. Now they stopped doing that around 1920, I think it was. And their local chapters were called camps because they were they had a woodland theme. And so here are some of the more eccentric monuments that they put together. But who had ever heard of these people before? I just thought that was really interesting. So there you go. You have a Woodman of the World in your family tree.
All right.
And this one, this was just me being silly, because I was doing a research for this. So Carmichael here, let's see, where was he? Again, the Irwin side, Irwin and Turner. Anyways, he's a grandson.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And because he was born in 1914, died in 84. Like, there's not a lot of solid records for him, except a couple little census. So I thought, well, I'll try to get a sense of him. And I found a newspaper article about Lloyd Carmichael. His name was Kenneth Lloyd, so I thought maybe it's the same guy who wrote a book on prairie wildflowers. I thought, oh, this is the guy, but it's not. It's a totally different author. But and this is from a columnist who was talking about books and stuff. But look who the columnist is.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. How ironic is that?
I know.
I said we should just change the name of the reveals to that.
Yeah, really.
Yes, Gregory Clark tells a story. There we go.
There we go.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Isn't that hilarious? Wow. So I've heard of this guy. He actually was a columnist for, I guess, a number of papers, but he was famous for the Toronto Star, and he actually wrote little booklets on it. He was a humorist as well.
Okay.
So when I was younger, old folks knew of him because they read him in the Toronto Star, because, like my great aunt would buy the Toronto Star, the Saturday Star, and read it from page to page. You know? So she'd read him religiously. And so people say, "Are you related to that Gregory Clark?" No. I'm not that related.
That's funny.
Isn't
my
that funny?
Goodness.
Anyways, a couple others. Edward Bohr was charged with attempting to break and enter the government liquor store in Palmerston. And then Richard Irwin. Oh, and he is the ultimate baby. You know how your kids leave and then come back?
Yeah.
Wow. In 1931, his census not his kids, but two of his grandchildren and two great-grandchildren.
Wow.
I've never seen a census record with great-grandchildren before. So this is a first for me. Have you?
Is that his?
That's
I'm
cool.
assuming it must be his
But you
wife.
know what? That was what, the 31? That doesn't surprise me because
Yeah.
the Great Depression.
The Great Depression, yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Richard and his wife Sarah.
Okay.
And that would have been Sarah Turner.
Yeah.
This is all Library Archives Canada. So
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah. So you could. I just showed the table here so you wouldn't have to.
Yeah,
squint.
that's great.
Right? But I don't know, Celia. Have you come across great-grandchildren on the census before?
If I have, it's not often.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I wonder if his son is 50, if they go exactly in
Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, 75, 50, 25. Yeah.
one.
Yeah. It was a daughter who married a Hayes, I think. Anyways.
We'll have to look it
Let's
up.
not.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this any longer than I need.
Right. No, that's interesting.
But anyways, I just thought I hadn't seen that before, so that's why I thought that was interesting. So those are a bunch of interesting finds, and so all of those Monopoly cards that I showed you, showing how you were related to each of them, those are also in the download folder.
Okay.
So you have those two, so you could print them out and laminate them and play.
Well, we'll liven up the next family reunion.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
And let's see. So there are some. So there's a section in the free space page, and you'll have access to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they by default, all of these categories are added, but we only add people, of course, once we find them. So there's a Rickman who was
that's
United
my
Empire
guy.
Loyalist. Yeah.
That's my main guy. That's my main guy. Yeah.
Gilbert Tice was a relative by marriage.
Okay.
You have 5 people who are connected from the World War I.
Okay.
So Corporal Lauren Albert, Lauren, that's the one I showed you. But you have a first cousin, 2 times removed. Also Robinson, someone from Scotland. There's Hancock, so that would be the same line as the bicyclist, right?
Yeah.
Riddler, I think you know that line. One we have got identified from World War II, and we don't have anyone more recent.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think mine might have been the only one that actually was killed in action. The one that I found, number 5.
Okay.
They all survived the war. So,
okay.
And then the last thing, we put free space pages together, of course, for cemeteries.
Oh, wonderful.
And so many of the Turners and the Irwins are in St. John's.
You know what? I can play bingo in St. John's Arvis Cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You definitely could. So
relative.
You know about this place, right?
Right. Yeah, I've been to that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have no ancestors
related
or
to
cousins
a whole lot
there.
of people in that cemetery.
But look at this. But this is, I love this connections thing, because you can go now, you can see you've got at least three direct ancestors buried there, according to WikiTree. Probably more that just aren't connected. And look at all the rest of all these other cousins. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the rest, and then the connections are married to your cousins, or married to other relatives. Like there's, so you can definitely play bingo in that.
For sure. Get a full card.
Yeah. So, I think that's about it. We talked about the connections in the brick walls, and you can see that people had claimed them, and that's a
lot.
That's a
lot.
It is. I just looked the guy who died in Zambia, he died in 1975. I think he died in a car accident.
Oh.
Yeah.
no.
It's not
that might be new then.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to do a little bit more investigating on that. Okay, that's interesting. Oh boy, I'm gonna be like, the next year going to all of this, right? And I was looking at the chats there, and someone was saying that it's probably gonna take me a little more than Saturday morning to read through all the comments on Discord, right? Let alone
yes,
all the edits, right? For everything that people worked on, just to go through and see which profiles people were working on. So this has just been fantastic.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah.
Oh, Liked it,
Excellent.
loved it, loved
Excellent. Loved it. Well, look at that. You're all dressed. Yeah, you're Valentine's
You
Day. Loved it. Yeah, that's great. Well, we really enjoyed it. I had fun helping out, and uh, people were kind to me. My first time being a captain for the challenge. So
it.
You did an excellent job.
Yay! Good
We're giving
job.
notes.
Good job. Well, I just want to thank everybody for working so hard, and I'm excited now to spend time to go back through to see what everybody worked on in greater detail,
Yeah.
and look through some of the profiles. I mean, I see people's names in the chat here, like Anne and Liza
Mhm.
and Celia. I know how involved they are in all of like a lot of the challenges, and I know that they're a big help to so many people. So thank you all. This has just been wonderful, and yeah, I'm excited to dive back in and see all the details and all the connections and explore some of those new places that I didn't know about before.
Excellent. Great. Well, thanks very much. Congratulations again. Yeah, so
Yeah,
thank
wonderful.
you, Celia, for joining me and keeping me on track. And thanks again to Anne, who had joined us all the way from England when it's way past your bedtime. Anyway, well, anyways,
Yeah.
and everyone, all the people who worked throughout the challenge, it was a great team this time. There's another one coming up in February. If I had been more prepared,
No,
I
I
could
think-
tell you the name.
I think the next one we know for sure is March.
Oh, okay.
I think February they didn't find anyone for.
Okay
I
then.
don't know if they're still looking or if we're just.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
stay tuned. When we know, you will know.
All right.
We'll definitely announce it on the Saturday roundup. So you can always join us then, and of course it'll also be posted in G2G as well. So, anyways, that's it for tonight. Thanks everyone who came to watch us live. Those who are watching after the fact, and have a great night. And we'll see you around the tree.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.